So, what on earth could ancient prophets possibly teach modern financial traders? Well, today we're going to explore a really powerful and, yeah, maybe surprising parallel between ancient wisdom and the psychology of the market. Let's dive right in. It seems like a pretty weird question, right? I mean, we live in a world of high speed data, algorithmic trading, the whole shebang. But what if the core patterns of failure, of discipline, and of rebuilding, what if those things are actually timeless? That's the big idea we're going to unpack today. All right, so our journey starts where a lot of trading careers go completely off the rails with a simple but really tough question about priorities from the prophet Haggai. He's basically asking us to do an audit of where our real work is, or more importantly, isn't getting done. Now, Haggai's core metaphor here, it's just so powerful. He saw people living in what he called paneled houses. The comfortable, finished, shiny projects in their lives. For a trader today, that might be having a polished social media presence or a steady day job. But meanwhile, the trading house, the actual system, the discipline, the journal, that's lying in ruins from total neglect. This is his diagnostic question. And look, it's not a judgment, it's a mirror. It forces us to look at the gap between what we say we want and what we actually do. Are we building a comfortable distraction, or are we building the essential foundation? So what happens when our priorities are all mixed up? Well, often, the first instinct isn't to fix the problem, it's to run from it. And that leads to the inevitable fall, a collapse that doesn't happen all at once, but in painful stages. The prophet Jonah gives us the perfect picture of this. He was given a really clear, really difficult mission: go to Nineveh. And what was his response? To immediately run in the exact opposite direction. Now, this isn't just procrastinating. This is an active, energetic avoidance of the work that has to be done. And notice the effort he put in. He found a ship, he paid the fare, he committed actual resources to his escape plan. Sometimes we spend just as much energy avoiding our trading discipline as it would take to actually do it. The fare to run away costs just as much as the fare to do the work. But here's the thing, running doesn't lead to safety, it leads to a storm. And in the language of another prophet, Joel, it leads to a plague of locusts, a perfect metaphor for a disaster that just keeps compounding, where each wave of destruction is worse than the last. So here you can see the trader's version of Joel's locust plague. It starts with the cutting locust. That's the first bad trade. Then comes the swarming locust. That's the emotional revenge trade that always follows. Next up, the hopping locust, a panic decision that causes you to miss a recovery. And finally, the destroying locust, the margin call, the one that wipes out the account. It's a sequence of escalating errors, and each one just feeds on the last. And the result of this? It's total devastation. And it's not just about the financial loss. As Joel puts it, gladness dries up. The emotional and psychological damage is just as bad, if not worse, than the financial hit. The entire landscape of your life just feels barren. Okay, so after the flight and the fall, what's next? A forced pause. A moment where the trader, stripped of everything, is finally forced to confront the real source of the failure. And it was never external. It was always internal. And for this moment, we go back to Haggai for the absolute key instruction: consider your ways. It's a command to just stop, to conduct an honest, and yeah, probably painful, audit of the patterns and priorities that led to the disaster in the first place. Haggai gives us another really powerful image for this futile effort. Are your profits just disappearing? Are you putting in all this work only to have nothing to show for it? It's not about working harder. It's about fixing the fundamental leak in the whole system. And this is where the prophet Joel makes a crucial distinction. Rending your garments, that's the public performance of being sorry. Like a trader posting on social media about their mistakes and big changes they're going to make. But Joel says the real work is rending your hearts, the private, invisible, genuine change of the internal pattern that caused the failure to begin with. And this is so important. This call to genuine change, it's not a threat. It's an invitation. It's saying you can afford to be brutally honest with yourself, because that honesty is going to be met with mercy, not with condemnation. And that creates the safety you need for real transformation to happen. So this leads us to the most hopeful part of the entire journey. That painful audit isn't the end. No way. It's the foundation for rebuilding. And the promise isn't just to recover what was lost, but to build something far stronger than you had before.
So the goal is not simply recovery, getting your account back to break even. The prophets talk about restoration, a complete renewal that can even redeem the years of wasted time and misdirected effort. And here it is, the payoff from Joel. Remember those 4 locusts? The promise is that the years they consumed will be restored. Every single wave of destruction is named, and the promise of restoration is made to be just as big as the loss was.
Haggai makes a very similar promise. See, when the people were rebuilding the temple, it looked small and kind of pathetic compared to the original. But the promise was that its latter glory would be greater. For the trader, the system you rebuild after a crash might seem simpler or smaller, but its foundation is stronger, its wisdom is deeper. It will be greater.
And finally, what is the result of this entire painful journey? It's not just a restored account, it's a forged identity. It's a brand new sense of purpose and authority that could only have been created in the fire of failure and rebuilding.
Now, to really get this final piece, we have to understand what a signet ring was. It wasn't just some piece of jewelry. It was a king's seal. It was his instrument of authority. When a king pressed his signet ring into wax, it made a document official. It was a symbol of his power and of his choice. And this is Haggai's ultimate promise. After the discipline, after the rebuilding, the individual is made into an instrument of divine authority. Not because they earned it, but because they were chosen and forged through that entire process. For I have chosen you.
So that's the full journey, from fleeing like Jonah to being devoured by Joel's locusts, to the painful audit of Haggai, and finally, to the faithful rebuilding. Through it all, the trader emerges with a totally new identity. You're no longer defined by your failures, but by the signet ring, an instrument of authority, calm and decisive, even in the face of chaos. Which brings us to our final question for you. When the markets are volatile, when everything is shaking, what's the source of your action? Is it the anxiety of someone just trying not to lose? Or is it the quiet, steady authority of someone who has been through the fire, who has been rebuilt, and who knows they have been chosen for this very moment?